Welcome to the Worship Keys YouTube channel. My name is Carson Bruce. So glad you're here. We talk all things music theory, gear, industry, and ministry for your worship keys playing. If this episode is beneficial for you or you have any questions as you continue to watch, feel free to comment below, and I'd love to hear any feedback that you have along the way. So let's get into today's episode. All right, guys, all the way from the land of Chattanooga, Tennessee, we have Carlous Drake on the Worship Keys podcast, man. How are you today?
Thank you for having me, bro. I'm doing good. I'm glad to be in Nashville.
You said it was smooth. It's hard to believe because sometimes the commute from Nashville to Chattanooga, Nashville, I always hit traffic.
Always. I was surprised.
Guys, if you love Carlous, you know him, let us know where you're listening from today. Drop the comments here in YouTube, or if you're listening on podcasts. I don't know where you guys are watching or listening on this episode, but thank you for being a part of this. This is going to be a great episode where we talk about the differences between CCM, contemporary Christian music,
right,
and the gospel genres.
Yeah.
A lot of that, there's been a big merge happening in the last 10 years or so, and people that have been in the worship scene for 40 or 50 years can speak more on this, and I know that we could probably even speak on this.
Right.
But Carlous, I'm so excited for you to talk on this subject. Tell us a little bit, though, before we do. So you're a keys player, you're a drummer, you're a producer, singer, songwriter?
Not a singer.
Too far. Too far. Are you a songwriter?
But yeah, I write a little bit. Yeah.
Now, your wife sings? No?
Yeah, she's an artist.
She's an artist, okay.
And a worship leader.
What's her name?
Janelle Drake.
Janelle Drake. Okay, because I've seen her on your page on Instagram.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we've had writing sessions for her. I get to produce for her.
That's exciting.
And so it's always a joy to produce for your wife, you know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm a lucky man.
That's awesome, man. You guys have kids?
Yeah, Jordan Drake.
Oh, very nice.
Janelle and Jordan, the loves of my life.
Oh, man, that is awesome. So good. Well, tell us a little bit of your keys journey.
Yeah.
When did you start learning keys? And are you on staff at a church now? What do you do creatively? What is your role? Yeah. Who is Carlous Drake, man?
Who is Carlous Drake, man? A lot of things make up who I am. And I think that's such a great topic because we're talking about two genres merging together. And a lot of who I am is made up from the diversity that I've been able to have poured into me through music in various situations. So I started my music journey. My grandfather was a pastor in Chattanooga, Tennessee, from Memphis. So if you're from Memphis, you have to be a musician.
So many great musicians out of Memphis, man.
Man. So he was a sax player and a keyboard player. And so he just naturally, the church had a very strong music culture. We've had great musicians to come out of that church, and he just always made it just a rich environment to learn. And so started there playing the drums. Ironically, I never even wanted to touch the keyboard. It was my mom who made me kind of get into keyboard playing. Glad I did. So I went from that, and around 14, 15, 16, started keys. And again, as we're talking about the makeup of my journey, I went from my grandfather's church, which was a traditional Baptist church. So I'm learning a lot of that traditional gospel, the hymns of the church, the spirituals, the foundational gospel stuff in that traditional church. Went from that. At 16, I started working for one of the big predominantly black churches in Chattanooga, and they were very Pentecostal. And so, that's flowing. You don't know what's, somebody's going to come in singing, so because it's just very spirit-led. Moved from that to a church that was CCM, tracks, very production-oriented. And so those type of things just kind of influenced who I am as a musician. That makes this topic, awesome to talk about. But what I'm doing now, as you kind of talked about a little bit, Upper Room Studios. You saw a little bit of Upper Room
Yeah,
Studios, didn't you?
absolutely. And it's a
Yeah.
nice setup over there too,
Thank
man. The
you.
studio
Thank
is
you, bro.
really, really cool. I love it.
Thank you. Can't wait for you to
I
come
can't
through.
wait to be there, man, sometime.
I'm making this promise on your
Oh,
podcast
snap.
that you're
Okay.
gonna be there.
Okay,
It's
speak it,
soon.
man.
Yeah,
Speak it to
I'm speaking
existence.
it. Yeah, we're gonna get you. We're gonna get you Upper Room.
I'd love to,
So
man.
Upper Room is a Christian creative community. So we have Upper Room Studios and we have Upper Room CCC, Christian Creative Community. And so it just started from me and my wife, who we do music together. We've been blessed to be co-worship directors together at various times. And we've always just had friends, whether producers, singers, writers. And when we're working on projects, we're very collaborative. So we always brought people together. We had a space once we started Upper Room Studios, and we would do these writing camps, working on her projects, other people's projects, and it just ballooned into one person's like, hey, I got a friend who writes, or I got a friend who does this. And then it just grew into something that was like, yeah, we need to make this like official. This needs to be a thing, you know. So that's why we started Upper Room. We're in our second year. We've already had our Upper Room weekend where we see people come from different cities, different states once a year, where we do writing camps, worship nights, various things. We just look to use the creativity that God has given us to be a blessing in this world, man. That's all we're trying to do.
That's awesome, man. Can Worship Keys players be a part of that community?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome.
You can find more about Upper Room at upperroomstudios.org.
Sweet.
That has all the information about if you want to be a part of the community. If you want to learn, we have some mentorship opportunities. Obviously, this is a great place to learn. I've caught a lot of your Dewan Hill podcast.
Yeah, Dewan Hill. Yeah. he's
Amazing
great.
on
Love
the
him.
organ. Natalie Lane.
Yes,
She's
yes.
awesome. So this has been an amazing opportunity to learn, and that's why I wanted to come into your creative space. Just kind of talk shop, man.
Thanks, man. You know, mentorships are very important. We've talked about
Definitely
the importance of a one-on-one piano teacher when you're learning piano and having someone who can walk with you, who's already been before, gone before you, and they're at the spot you want to be. So having that mentorship is important. I think that's really cool as a creative person to have a mentor. So I think that's really cool that you have that community. And I think the word community can be a buzzword, but it truly is a community, right? If you can get in, know people, they know your name, to be known, put yourself out there and actually exist. Now, we have communities within our churches, within our schools, where there's so many different little places we can have communities, but let's have a creative space and share it together.
Yes.
And so good, man. Well, so unloading this morning, you brought out your CP88 keyboard.
CP88.
So made by Yamaha. We love the CP88. We've actually featured it on an episode with Seth.
Okay.
With Seth Builds Rigs, and he talks about building different tracks rigs. He's built rigs for Stephen Hurst Chapman, Amy Grant, Riley Clemens, a lot of churches in town here in Nashville. But on staff at Crosspoint Church, and they use this CP88.
Awesome.
And a lot of people love these CP stage pianos by Yamaha. Maybe you guys you're watching, you're listening, you're like, yep, I got that same keyboard. But all that to say, you guys will be able to hear Carlos play here in just a little bit. So don't go away. The good stuff is coming. Because I do want you to be able to just demonstrate for us on the keys the differences between the CCM style and the gospel style. And so we'll intro it with this saying, let's talk about the differences before you actually demonstrate.
Yeah.
What do you think are the main differences between CCM and gospel? And how do you see it blending, and how do you see that being a good thing?
As I was kind of thinking about this, I kind of think about it if you were to put up a circle in one hand and you say this is CCM, and then you put a circle in this hand and say this is gospel. You have to identify what is the foundation of this genre. Write in your circle what that is. Every genre also has their standards. I believe you're a jazz guy, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Get the real book, man. Get the real book.
I got you. So one of the first things I was taught when I was studying jazz was the standards of the genre. So you got your Misties, all the things you are.
Absolutely.
Things like that. And those are the foundations of the genre. And so when you look at CCM, what songs make up the foundation of that genre? And then you start seeing similarities and patterns. And then beyond that, there is a culture as well. And you see that in your churches, the culture, the foundations, the patterns, all of those things. So if you take CCM and gospel, very, very different. But what we've been seeing here is when they come together, there's this little, when the circle meets in the middle, you find what the similarities are. And I think one of the biggest bridges has been worship.
Yeah.
And that's where you find the biggest bridge point, connection point,
Yes, sir.
is through worship. You know, gospel has its, what can you call it? You have people who are purist, of course, and then you have people on the other side that are CCM purists. But again, a lot of people give credit to Maverick City. I kind of like to give a lot of credit to Israel.
Hey, yeah.
At least for my generation. I'm sure there's someone who may can speak to before my generation, but in my generation, it was Israel who was starting the blending, and it was in worship where you can find the circles meeting. And then Israel, Maverick City, they're big ones. And, you know, CCM is big on Soundscape. And that's what I love about it as a producer.
Right.
Being able to produce, find the sounds, the palette in just 4 chords. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Make it interesting with just that. From the gospel end, it's like musician chops approach first. And I like it because it's just honoring God with the excellence of the gift and being able to study and to dive deep. Each has its place, but then they come together as we should, worshiping God, honoring God. You see it in our worship music. You see it in hymns. Yes. You know, I've been to churches that are on the CCM side. They sing Amazing Grace, just like we did at my grandfather's church. Yeah. Different,
right?
But Amazing Grace, you know.
Yep.
So
totally.
That's kind of how I see it. They have their differences, and as you start to look at what is the foundation of this genre on both ends, you will see those differences more. But then as you start to go into the subgenres, and one is the worship, you'll see a lot of, okay, they blend together. And so you have to figure out, as the creative, how do I want to express in my musical skill, how I can dive in one side and come back in the other, and live in both worlds, because that's where we are. We are, whether you like it or not, we're seeing a hybrid. That's true. And I love it.
I love it too, man. Yeah. And there are some individuals who, like you said, purists, that they don't want to go away from even those traditional hymns that people used to sing a lot of, only in like the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Oh yeah,
where you only sing that, and you only want to sing from the certain hymn book, and you go back to that tradition, and then you have people that only really gravitate more towards the CCM, and then people that only really gravitate towards the gospel, and are not even very inclusive or even want to hear anything CCM or anything gospel. But I think it's the beauty and the expression of this. And what DeJuan Hill, when he was on the organ specific episode that we had, I loved what he said. He said, like, CCM does in sound design what gospel does in chord progression, something along those lines.
Gotcha.
Like gospel players, we're doing a lot of chord progressions because there's not as much sound design filling up the space. Whereas if you had a lot of sound design filling up the space, it might be muddy to do all those chord progressions. So it all depends on what's going on.
I learned that in CCM when I was first trying to merge the two. What we'll talk about, passing chords. Man, when you got pads going everywhere, 5 different guitar parts, you can't really pass between stuff. It gets muddy. Some sounds are sustaining where you're trying to move. It just doesn't work. But again, that goes to knowing the genre and knowing what are the rules, and then knowing how to break them.
Absolutely. To someone who is a CCM player right now, heavy on the programming, sound design, using Ableton main stage, and they're using this in a CCM standard, and they want to start playing more gospel and the gospel chops, what would be your advice to them? And then on the flip side, what would you give to the gospel player who also might be really good with sound design too, but just not quite using it in that CCM style and really wants to. What advice would you give to those two
Well,
people?
one, I would say don't pigeonhole yourself.
It's good.
There is a beauty in being able to leap and live in different worlds. But I caution you, if you're going to do it, be authentic to it.
That's good. That's good.
Be authentic to it. And the best way to be authentic, just like when you're learning a new language, immersion. You got to immerse yourself in the
Fully
culture.
immersive, yes.
And so I tell people all the time, whether it's a pastor coming to me and saying like, hey, I want a diverse church, but what would you give me to do? How can you help me with that? And then the first thing I say, man, go into the community, find a church, find a black church, or on the other end, find a white church. Go to Sunday school, and just, you know what I'm saying, and just be with the people. Learn the culture. You know what I'm saying? Go to church service and really just not trying to steal members. You know what I'm saying? Go and just love on the people. And then when you immerse yourself, it's one of the things that I was taught when I was coming from a traditional Baptist church and I was coming into a Pentecostal church is that some things can't be taught. They have to be caught.
Yeah, come on.
And you can't catch it unless you're in the environment to say, hey, I got my glove up, throw the ball. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And so those would be the first things is first, see the beauty in it. Because I have seen CCM songs that are amazing and can be taken to another level with some of the musicianship that you get from gospel.
Absolutely.
And then I've seen gospel songs on the other side take from the CCM with the lyrics, taking that type of approach, sound design, all of that, and incorporating it. So do that, and then just immerse yourself in the culture.
I love that. Okay, I love that when I asked that, you didn't go to practicalities. You didn't say, hey, do this 3-step thing.
No,
it's just like, you got to get immersed in the culture. And I think that's so important. And I love that what you guys do with Upper Room Studios and that community, which, by the way, not to be confused with Upper Room in Texas.
No, that has happened. Hey, but a good happened. One guy came up to me in one of our worship nights, and he was like, I thought you guys were Upper Room Dallas, and we just came and to hang out. I was like, well, thanks for coming. We're glad to have you. Sometimes it works in our favor. But right. Not the same thing.
Not the same thing, but still really great that y'all have that community. Yeah. But I love that you said, Carlos, is that you have to be immersed in that culture.
Definitely. You'll pick up so much, and then you'll learn what is you, what makes you comfortable, what forms your opinions, the way that you execute music. And at that point, that's where you start to develop your sound. Every church has a sound. Whether we can line up 5 different CCM churches, they're all going to be different. It's just learning your sound, what you have to offer, but from learning from the genres and others who have done it before you. Yeah.
So good. Let's back it up a little bit, Carlos, to your younger years. When you learned the piano, what are some simple tips? There's some, they're just diving into keys right now. What are your best beginner tips for someone, besides jumping in the culture, which I think that could also be just jump in the culture too, for when you're learning different genres, but just square one, you're learning your scales. What's the best advice to your younger self learning the piano?
Man, the one thing that broke through with me when I finally got it, I was like, man, if I would have learned this years earlier, when I learned the Nashville number system, it just changed life for me. Yeah. It just really did.
Totally.
So that's one thing, because I think theoretical knowledge is always just going to improve what you do naturally. So I would say get some of that theoretical knowledge. Specifically, I think the Nashville number system unlocks a lot for people. Another thing I would say is going back to those standards. If your goal is to learn gospel, go to the standards. And as you know, probably when I was learning classical music, they would give you Moonlight Sonata, but they're not giving you the advanced version.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Yep,
they got beginner, intermediate, advanced.
Yes.
So take one of the standards, and it may be too complicated for you. That's fine. Dumb it down.
Right. Right.
but just learn the basic way of how to play it. It's okay to start that way. And as your skills improve, you can improve how to play that song as well.
Totally.
So those are a couple just baby steps I would take.
What would you say is the biggest like mistake that you've seen when people try to blend CCM and gospel and maybe the culture isn't ready or they're not ready? Have you seen that at all?
From a musical perspective or from like a ministry perspective?
I would say from a ministry perspective.
Okay.
Because I think
yeah,
it flows from the ministry,
course,
right?
of
Because
course.
once they have that in their mind, like it, then the worship ministry, the sound of it changes too. So, talk a little bit of like that, if you have anything on
Yeah.
that. I don't know.
So well, as we all do when we're young and we're learning and we're doing ministry, we all make mistakes. And one of my young mistakes in ministry was not understanding that the pastor is the worship leader. I'm just here to give expertise as a musician and to help walk out the vision. But the pastor is the one who sets the tone, has the vision, and ultimately his expression of worship, his culture is gonna be in the DNA of the church. So
Yeah.
if you have competing goals and you're so musical and you're like, man, we need to be doing this and this and this and this and this, and you're losing the head of your church, you're getting out in front of the head worship leader.
Come on, man.
So the first thing would be you may be feeling something, and that's great. God puts things inside of us, but first you need to make sure that you're aligned. And so taking what you're hearing to your leadership and just first being like, hey, how do you think this would play in worship? What do you think about this genre? How do you, pastor knows his flock. He knows how it will be received. And there are some certain tricks that you can do to try to win your congregation over. I'm a firm believer of you can't always give the congregation what they want. Sometimes you need to teach your congregation and expose your congregation. So there is a place for that, but we want to do it in wisdom. So if I was dealing with the older congregation, one of the things that we would do, I'm trying to get a song in my head. Let's just say Friend of God, for example, Israel. That contemporary worship feel for an older congregation, I would do Friend of God, introduce it to the church, and do on the end of it, tag what a friend we have in Jesus. You merge both worlds together. Find more ways to do some of that stuff. If it's like, hey, we're a CCM church. I saw one good tip from DeWine. I'll call him back. I think one of the first things that they started to do, as he said on the podcast, was they didn't just deep dive into gospel. They brought an organ in the church. And then it was like once every month or every so often, they would just incorporate it into the church.
Right.
You know, they didn't have a conversation in the next week, hire Kurt Franklin to come in and bring his band. And you know, they did it with wisdom. I would think from a ministry perspective, that is the best way to kind of, we want to introduce our congregation, challenge them, expose them, but at the same time, we want to use wisdom.
So good, man. Well, are you ready to take it away?
I'd love to, bro.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, guys. So we're back here at the piano. And so let's take what we just talked about in some practical terms right here with the piano. As I said before, you have this circle here, and this is your CCM. This is your gospel. For me, where I have seen the most hybrid situations is that cross section between worship. So I kind of want to focus on worship. And we can start with talking about the standards. So one innovator in the worship genre of gospel for me when I was growing up and learning was Ty Tribbett. And he had a very simple worship song that was everything to me. So if someone's just learning, you really learn this gospel style with ease of the CCM style. CCM kind of works in 4 chords. This song only has 3. So very simple to start off. So again, the song, it starts in E. So for those who need to know where we're at, we're starting on the 1. Go to the 2, 5, back to the 1. Cool. Simple. That is pretty much more or less the whole song. Now, where you see some of the differences in gospel and CCM. So a CCM person would probably, not in all cases, but in most cases, approach it with a soundscape mentality in mind and a minimalist piano approach. And so they would probably start one with figuring out their patch. They would turn the reverb up, hit the reverb, and then I'm bringing a pad, which we have right here. And let's just bring that pad up a little bit more so you guys can hear. Are we there? Hold on, let's see. Make sure we got the pad in. There we go. So CCM is known for block chords. Dun, 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 dun. Because you got guitars, you have pads and everything. You may have your layer on the keyboard, and then you may have another keyboard player playing a layer. So they're very just right there. Dun, dun. They will let the guitar player do that. Come in on the 2, 5, 1. Now gospel. Turn off the reverb.
I will say I don't love that sound design though, man.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of it either.
There's probably some better pads out there you can use.
A lot better. We're not in laptop world today. We're in keyboard world. So
Keep going, man.
okay. Anyways, so we're gonna turn that reverb off. We're gonna turn off the pad. Not that gospel doesn't have layers. They do. It's just a different approach. So first of all, gospel is a piano-driven genre. So a lot of times in CCM, you see it led from guitar approaches or, again, the soundscape, not just one instrument leading. In gospel, the piano is everything. If you're an MD, you're probably the keys player. So one of the things in worship music that a lot of music doesn't have, it has a lot of ups and downs. And in the down sections is where the keyboardist shines the most. So in the beginning of the song, where it's generally just the piano and the vocal, that's where you can shine. So where you have guitarists will be playing the melody, the piano is going to find a way how to make that a little bit fatter. And then instead of playing octaves, which you will see a lot of times in CCM, you want to be able to fatten that up from a keyboard perspective. So playing the whole chord. The whole entire chord. Then as it builds, one thing that I've learned is that I think is a lost art is that piano players have stopped using the entire keyboard. I think that's something that you can use to your advantage, and you see it a lot in gospel. Now, again, when you're in those high sections when the whole band is in, it's appropriate for you to be right in here, right in the middle. You don't want to take up the EQ range that others will be feeling. So you want to be right in the middle. But when you're by yourself, don't be afraid to hit that octave. Add the dramatic the dramatics of the song. If you're by yourself, you can put some chord variations in there. On that 5, you can spice that up a little bit. More spice. Stuff like that. Again, using the whole keyboard. Again, this is stuff that Ty Tribbett has done. So I'm listen to the record, see what they do, because again, they played the music. They may be better than you, just maybe. So, listen to them, see what they're doing. That's a move that they use. I picked up. So I've always thought, how can I put my variation on that? Again, I come from using the whole piano model, so I would go on that. Something like that, or arpeggio. Make it more interesting than just, you can just go back right into the song. Go right into your song. So how does that help the CCM player? So again, when we intersect into worship, if I was the worship director, because a lot of times I've had the privilege to be the worship director where I can speak into the musical flow a little bit more than just the MD. So if I was trying to gently bring a church into the gospel side, this is a way that you can do it. You can start with a gospel song. That's easy. Everything to me. Play the song and then watch right here. Speak the name of Jesus. Same key. You could merge those two songs together in a worship format where you have the gospel, you have the CCM, and then take the same principles that you're learning from gospel. Gospel loves the medley, so in piano. So in piano, a lot of the times, you will see the keys player follow the lead singer with the medley. Instead of just letting them sing it, I just want to speak the name of Jesus, you would. Find a chord, interesting. A lot of times I just seen people do, Again, that's okay, but if you want a more gospel-y way to do it, will be play the chord, put a chord with it. And so let's move on to the rest of the song. Let's bring a pad in a little bit. Carson doesn't like my pad, but he's going to live with it right now. Passing chord. Normally, it would just, your name is 5, 4. But what you can do is 5, melody, 3, or 5, 1. Again, these things don't make sense in the context if the whole band is playing, unless you have a talkback mic and you can talk to your bass player. Just let your bass player know where you're going. 5, 1, 1. 5. It was a passing chord to go to the 5. On that 2. Now let me show you where you get too much gospel. So if someone was playing too much.
Someone will start running with that one, bro.
Maybe. Depending on what church you're in, it may work. But typically, typically not. So that is just the gospel approach. Okay, let's go to the vamp of that song. Again, using the whole keyboard. All right, that's that 7-3-6. There's different ways that you can play that. You can even, instead of going to the 3, maybe try the C, that flat 6. Whole keyboard. 6, whole keyboard. That was nasty. But 6. Back to the 1. So we're gonna try that again. Maybe something like that, the whole keyboard. Again to the 1. I've heard these called pedal tones before. On the organ, you're holding a note down on your bass, and then you just chord in your and you chord in your right hand. But same principle for keyboard players. Have a note, give it that worship feel. Again, as the piano player in gospel, you're filling up a lot of the times what that soundscape would do. Because traditionally we come from churches that have either just organ and drums or just piano and drums. And so the culture of that church is the pianist is having to bring out, there was no full band. Now we have the ability to have full bands, but the genre has formed those norms. So that's what those are some approaches of the gospel style with that. So I'm going to take another song. I'm going to move keys, if that's okay, Carson.
Yeah, man.
Let's go to D flat. Let's take a worship tune, Israel. Again, taking some of the standards that you would see in worship. Let's see. So Alpha and Omega. So how to play that without just being, again, you find that pedal tone right there on that 1. Alpha. Or you could move it. Two. You find that a lot in gospel. That is a traditional. Gospel does that a lot. Again, finding some of the patterns and seeing where you see it in the CCM side. So, that right there, that's a common gospel change. Does that all the time. You'll hear stuff go 5, 4, 3, 6, 2. Back to the 5. That's just a common gospel change. So as we go to the next part of the song, we give you all the glory. 1, 7, 3, 6. Again, melody. Even though the singer would be singing right there, a gospel piano player is going to play the melody. All the glory. 5, 2. Again, that's a bit busy. Wouldn't do that's where it's coming from though in your traditional music. That's where that's coming from. Worthy to be praised, pedal tone. Whole piano. Another big thing in gospel is talk music. So let's talk about what talk music actually is. So in CCM churches, most of the time when the pastor is up, this is actually a good space where you could start incorporating very simply some of the gospel expression. In CCM churches, a lot of time the pastor's up, he's on his last point preaching, and what do we hear in the CCM church? We hear a lot of times just that pad start to come up. Hold on. Let me get it. This bad pad. It really is bad. It really is bad, isn't it? You know, you hear the drum. You hear the drum. You hear the drum start. So, gospel music, we have this thing that we call talk music. So,
there's got to be a bigger pad patch on that thing, right?
Has to be. Let's see.
Man, filter through those things, man. No. It's got to be something. Oh, that sounds a little better.
Which one you like? You like this one?
Yeah, can you maybe filter it. Let's see. Wait, what does that do? Nothing? And you're using this one to begin with?
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. Maybe that one's the best one.
I like that one.
I like that one. Yeah, you could open it. You could just open it up a little bit more by that. Yeah, that one's nice.
Okay, guys, Carson found us a better pad. So again, you hear that drum. You hear that drum without the piano most of the times. So, talk music is the same thing. When someone's up talking, whatever setting. Now, depending on the setting, what influence, whether you want to go major or you want to go minor, what have you. Typically, let's stay major right now. So talk music is something that you could kind of just mess with. You don't have to be as busy. You can still keep your pad kind of in the mix, but you can, you know. Just real easy. I will start just easy. Depending on what's going on. It may be called for a minor. It's just your expression, really, musicality, what you want to do while someone's up talking. Now, it can be distracting for some churches and some cultures. That's why I would just start very simple. There's some very simple go-tos in gospel that you'll find. That's one. Things of that nature. But yeah, it helps like to find songs that kind of have that talk music vibe. That's kind of why I started with Alpha and Omega, because right there you can just all right, one last demonstration. Let's go to A flat. Go to A flat. So again, why did I pick some of these keys? I started in E because that is a lot of times guitar players, they write from E. So you see a lot of CCM songs in E. And I want to kind of give you the understanding how you can start with CCM, kind of get into gospel. Now, going from D flat, A flat, those are traditional gospel keys. I say D flat, E flat, A flat, B flat. Learn those. Those are the staple of the genre. Again, so find a song that is a staple. One staple would be easy song. I Love You More Than Anything. Again, gospel players are going to play that melody. So if you know the song, see how I'm playing the melody? If you know the song, you can understand the song, what I'm playing. So why is that important? So learning a song like that, that's very melody driven from a keys perspective, that is a staple in the gospel side, is because now you can take a song like this and really play with it. So let's talk about some of those changes real quick. One, so again, play on the melody and chord it. Just don't. you got to start there, fine. But find the whole chord. It's an A flat chord. Then you're moving to a B flat minor chord to A flat. So find a melody line and play with it. We're on the 6, 4. Those 3 chords, that's the whole melody right there. 3-part harmony, gospel, big for 3-part harmonies. If you were teaching that to somebody, that's what you would. Alto, tenor. That's the whole thing. So playing off of that. That 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1 to the 4. Let's slow that down. 1, my 7. Phrase that however you want to. You can do. You can. Some of these. 2, 5, flat 5, or 1, however you want to do the 1. Again, whole piano. In this case, play the whole piano. Again. Maybe too much. It's your taste. So, and then get comfortable in every key. Let's go to C for that. Same thing in C where the song is written. I believe is in C. Myself. You play it basic at first. Pass on the 6. Then make it interesting. Again, we're on the 1. Same changes. One thing that's big in gospel is modulations. I'm finna go up, Carson, the C sharp. Take it up, D. Same thing. I'm gonna end at E flat for the heck of it. So one more time. Then go back into your worship mode. Worship mode. Same thing, just learn it in every key. So those are just some tricks from the musical side of learning the gospel progressions, putting it in CCM, and from a ministry perspective of how to blend the worship songs, because worship is where we all live, any church. Our aim is to worship God. Find out some of those songs that have similarities, whether you're doing a gospel song like I Love You, Jesus, and you want to pair that with I Trust in God or what have you. Multiple ways to do it. Carson knows we could dig in this type of stuff all day.
Yes, sir.
But just find your style, your comfort level. Again, start with the melody, learn that stuff, figure out what the gospel standards are, figure out what the CCM standards are, figure out where the merging points, the bridge points, the connection points are, and then just have at it. Then at that point, it's your style, it's your creativity.
Come on, Carlos. Dude, that was some playing right there. You were doing some playing
Oh,
right
no,
there.
man. No, man.
I want to ask a follow-up question for those listening. So, say you are learning these techniques and you're wanting to apply some of this cool playing with some of these progressions, like I trust in God, and how great is our God, same kind of thing, right? You do that same progression. Anything that's like a 1-6-4-5 or 1-6, 5-4-2.
Just kind of going down the scale.
Yes. What is your best advice for maybe a keys player who wants to learn this, but they know that their band is not there, so therefore they can't really follow them to do that?
Yeah.
Do you have any
I
advice
get it.
with that?
So, a couple things.
Is it possible? Is it even possible?
It's possible. It's possible. What key are we in?
We're
still
in E flat.
E flat. First thing, teach your band the Nashville number system.
Yeah.
So, understand what the scale is made up of. Just going up it. So, just first know that, because what happens when you know that, you can talk to your bass player and you can say, I trust in God. 7, 3, 6. You can call out 5, 1. Now it may take a little minute because you start going faster. You have to process in real time.
Right.
But learning the Nashville number system, investing in a talk back system, and we have to understand sometimes, like, understanding the culture of the genre that we're in. Let me make a point, Carson.
Come on,
I forgot
man.
to say this.
Tell us, Carlos.
I got some flack one time when I went to a church.
Uh-oh.
And they were asking me for my advice for how can we incorporate gospel, multicultural worship into things. And I was telling them, one, what I would do is I would get rid of all of the music stands.
Hey, yes.
And I got some pushback from that. One of the key pushbacks I got is, why would we get rid of music stands when the greatest classical musicians in the world, or some of the greatest musicians, they use music stands? Well, my answer for that was classical music, understanding that genre specifically, that is the nature of that genre, and understanding why.
And that was a spectator also. That was for spectatorship.
Right.
And worship is for participatory.
There we go. And knowing the understanding of the worship genre, it's for the genre is very. Give me a word, Carson. Help me out. It's very spontaneity.
Yes, the spontaneity is important. Yeah,
so that is a key factor in the genre. You have to learn the what are the staples of the genre, and one of it is spontaneity. And so
that's good. I
would invest in a talkback, not to just let the track and cues tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Because the one of the fundamentals of this genre is being able to go by the Holy Spirit's leading.
Come on.
And if the Holy Spirit is telling us, hey, let's move to this hymn, or let's stay right here on this progression, or we want to do a change on the fly, use your talkback mic. Use what we have. We have technology. So Nashville number system and yes, talkback mic. Communication with musicians is big in this worship genre.
That's some good stuff, man. I like that. Hot take, man. Get rid of the music stands.
Get rid of music stands.
Get music. Hey, Tyler at Church of the Highlands also said the same thing. They don't use
Okay.
music stands. And hey, we need the charts. We need music sometimes, but in the flow of the service,
Right.
it is good for you to look up, be connected with the worship leader, with the congregation, see what's going on, and flow in the real time.
Absolutely.
Because it's like too much like a crutch, right?
It definitely. And I'm not opposed to it. There are situations where I definitely have to bring my iPad in and have the charts written in my iPad. But I'm at the point where I can understand when it's time to, okay, work with the track. I need to see my chart. And then, okay, cut it off. Let the Holy Spirit lead.
Yes.
So it's just being able to live again in both worlds, what we're talking about. Yeah.
All right, guys, thank y'all so much for listening to this podcast, for watching on YouTube. So glad that you made it to the end of the episode, because most people do not make it to the end of the episode.
Well, thank you if you're still here. Thank you.
Carlos, thank you so much for sharing and taking your CP88 Yamaha all the way from Chattanooga, Tennessee to Nashville today to teach us some practical tips for CCM and gospel, blending the two genres. I love your heart, man, for ministry, for God.
Thank you.
Obviously, I know you love your family too, your wife, who's an artist. But guys, you can connect with Carlous Drake online on Instagram.
Yeah.
You can find Upper Room Studios, which is different than Upper Room Dallas.
Yes. You can go to upperroomstudios.org. I'm C Minor World.
C Minor
on
World.
Instagram, C Minor World.
C Minor World. What's with the C minor?
Well, my first name is Carlos. Starts with a C.
That's right.
I'm a junior. Minor.
Okay.
I was in college, man.
Okay.
It stuck.
You should at least be like a C minor 7.
C minor 7. I got you.
No, man. So glad you're on the podcast. Thanks for being on, taking the time.
For sure.
Is there any last words you'd like to leave with the Worship Keys community?
Man, first, just thank you. I think what you're doing here is amazing. It has been inspiration for me to see, your peers come on, share great tips. Worship Keys, guys, if you're listening, always stay learning.
Yes.
You can always learn something. I don't care what your role is in ministry. I don't care how many Grammys you have.
Come on. You
can learn. And this is a great resource. So, one, I just want to thank you, bro.
Thank you,
I had to bring the CP88, man. I had to come correct for the Worship Keys podcast, obviously. So, yeah, man, thank you to everyone out there. If I can just say, if you guys are interested in being a part of creative community especially in the Southeast area, Atlanta, Knoxville, Chattanooga, Nashville, come look us up. So, yeah, man, again, just thank you. Hope we're going to do it again, right?
Yes,
man?
absolutely, dude.
Okay.
100%. I'm going to visit you in Chattanooga for sure, man.
For sure.